If you're here, it's because you have a passion for animals. It's probably more like a calling, right? But turning that calling into a career that lasts, one that's fulfilling for the long haul, well, that takes more than just passion. It takes a proactive toolkit for your own well-being. And today, we're going to build that foundation together with 5 core principles you absolutely need to know before you even set foot on the job.
Okay, let's start with a crucial reality check. Now, I'm not showing you this to scare you off, not at all. This is here to prepare you, to empower you. This profession, it just carries a unique weight. And simply acknowledging that from day one, that is the single most powerful step you can take toward building a career that's not only successful, but truly sustainable.
So what is it that creates that unique weight? Well, it's the unseen hazards. We're not talking about the physical risks you get trained for, like bites or scratches. We're talking about the constant psychological pressures, the incredible emotional highs, and the absolutely devastating lows. Understanding these is the bedrock of any real well-being strategy. And it all starts with our very first principle.
And that principle is this: name the risks. This isn't just a suggestion. It is the absolute non-negotiable starting point. You have to be able to identify and, actually put words to the specific stressors that are baked right into the fabric of animal care work.
So, what do we even mean by psychological health hazards? Look, these are not your average workplace stressors. They are unique to this field, they are frequent, and they are deeply connected to that intense bond between animals and the people, like you, who care for them.
And this is what they look like in the real world, day in and day out. We're talking about the slow-building toll of handling euthanasia conversations, the heartbreak of loss again and again, the intense stress of trying to navigate a client's grief, or sometimes their anger, and of course, the mental exhaustion from making constant, difficult, ethical calls. Just naming these is the first step to getting a handle on them.
And that's really the key takeaway for our first principle. It's so simple but so powerful. If you can't put a name to the pressure you're feeling, you can't possibly build a strategy to deal with it. Recognition. That is the first step toward control. It always is.
All right, so once you can name the potential hazards, the next vital skill is learning to see their impact. And that brings us right to our second principle. Recognize the signs. This is about seeing them in yourself and, just as importantly, in your colleagues.
This is all about sharpening your professional observation skills. This isn't about trying to diagnose anybody, not at all. It's simply about being attuned to your team and spotting those subtle shifts that might signal someone is struggling and could really use some support.
And these are the kinds of signs to look for. They're often quiet changes, a coworker who's suddenly always late, or maybe someone who just seems withdrawn and has kind of lost their spark. It's so important to remember, these are rarely character flaws. They are potential signs that the hazards of the job are really taking a toll.
And here's the crucial insight, the thing I really want you to take away. This is a core professional competency. In a high-impact field like this one, being aware of your team's well-being is a shared responsibility. It's what creates a healthier, more effective workplace for every single person.
Okay, so we can name the risks and we're learning to spot the signs. But then what? What do we actually do? Well, principle 3 makes sure our actions are effective. It's simple. Trust the evidence. Rely on strategies that are actually proven to work, not just, wishful thinking.
What this really means is going beyond that vague advice like, just be positive. It's about using established, researched models for well-being, things like positive psychology or emotional intelligence frameworks, that give you a reliable roadmap for building genuine, lasting resilience.
And just look at the difference this makes. Instead of that empty platitude, toughen up, an evidence-based resilience framework gives you specific, actionable skills for navigating tough times. It's really the difference between a well-intentioned guess and a professional strategy. And here is the bottom line. When your self-care plan is built on solid evidence, it's not just something you hope will work. It's a professional strategy you can actually rely on, one that can grow with you throughout your whole career. And honestly, it's just far more likely to be effective. Having those evidence-based strategies leads us right into the practical application, and that is Principle 4, Build Your Toolkit. This is where we transform all that theory into a personal, actionable plan to sustain your well-being. This is where the rubber meets the road. The most important word on this slide is holistic. A powerful self-care plan is not one single thing. It's not just a hobby or taking a day off once in a while. It's a comprehensive system of support that weaves into every area of your life.
So think of these as the essential parts of your toolkit. It all starts with that non-negotiable foundation of physical health, right? But it also includes emotional skills like self-compassion, practical tools for managing your time, and the strength you get from your social connections. And crucially, it also means knowing when and how to call in the professionals for support.
This is so critical. A plan has to work for you and your life. It has to be realistic and specifically targeted to the hazards that you face. That personalization is what transforms a generic idea into a powerful, protective tool.
Now, your personal toolkit doesn't exist in a vacuum. It actually operates inside a professional and legal context. And this brings us to our final and maybe most empowering principle: know your duty.
What this means is pretty simple. There are established rules and responsibilities around psychological safety at work. Understanding them isn't about memorizing legal jargon. It's about knowing your rights and the professional obligations you have to yourself and to your colleagues. Think of this as your empowerment checklist. Being aware of concepts like duty of care, national safety guidelines, and your own workplace policies, it gives you the language and the framework you need to advocate for a safe environment and to act with confidence.
And that's the crucial takeaway here. Understanding this framework means you can act confidently. You know your supportive actions aren't just a nice thing to do, but they're also appropriate, they're proportional, and they're grounded in professional standards that are there to protect everyone.
So let's end with this. Your well-being isn't an afterthought. It's not a luxury. It is a professional skill, every bit as critical as any technical competency you're going to learn. These 5 principles, they're your blueprint. So the real question is, which tool are you going to pick up first?